married for too long, but not having a kid yet. So my grandma kind of dragged me to the gynae who actually delivered me.
I do a lot of Korean dramas. They will show a part where all the elderly ladies will sit together. They will start to fan themselves because they are having menopause.
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Chatterbox. I'm Dominique, your host, and today's episode is all about women's health. Joining me today are my fellow SG Heroine Award winners of 2024 as part of the annual Singapore Women's Festival. This award is specially to honour Singapore women who have shown resilience, perseverance, and have positively impacted the lives of the people around her. A big applause for all of us. All right, let's meet the other SG heroines.
Hi, my name is Namira. Like many others, I'm juggling a full-time career, wife duties and caring for my Merdeka generation parents, being their primary caregiver. I'm also the founder of E for Endometriosis, Singapore's first non-profit organisation focusing on endometriosis awareness and support.
Hi everyone, I'm Jasmine. I'm actually a secondary school teacher. And a fun fact about myself, I actually enjoy card making as well as lettering, either on my iPad or on pen and paper.
Hi, I'm Anchali. I'm a software specialist and also a grandma of 3 children. I love more active role in all sorts of sports.
Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm a mother of one. I am a HR executive and I start and end my day with coffee.
Well, I'm Dominique and I run a boutique agency. What we do is brand strategy, PR, and advertising campaigns. A fun fact, I try to stair climb one set of 40 stories every morning. I used to be able to do that daily. Now I do it about 3 times a week. All right, so let's have an icebreaker now. We'll start with a short game called Fact or Cap. So this is to test our knowledge on various women's health misconceptions. And if the statement I read out is true, you will show us the happy face side of the paddle. And if it's false, obviously you show the other side. Okay, heart disease mostly affects men. Aha! So the majority is no. And we have a minority with yes. Okay, tell us, why do you say yes?
Because my husband has also gone for heart bypass. So I believe that when I went to see him in the hospital, majority were men.
I see.
Yes, and because of smoking, heavy smokers usually will have heart disease.
I guess for myself, because I'm the primary caregiver for my parents, so both my dad and my mom has heart disease, and most of my family members, women, have heart disease. So to me, the answer is clear.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Well, let's see what the answer is. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death and disability in women around the entire world. So it's not just Singapore. Vaginal discharge is normal. Okay, we have a draw. All right, so let's hear from Tracy.
Well, I think as women, when we are nearing our menstrual cycle, I think to me, I was taught that it's very normal to have vaginal discharge.
Okay, and Namira?
I believe that there are certain discharges that are deemed as normal, but there are also certain discharges that aren't normal, such as discharges that leads to UTI.
Okay, and what's the answer? Yes, it's normal? Yes. Well, it depends on what kind of discharge it is. And the next one, wearing a wired bra increases your risk of breast cancer.
In between. I feel that, wired bras probably doesn't allow much airflow, I think. So probably that might cause issues such as breast cancer.
Okay, that's right. Well, let's see. What's the answer?
Agree.
No. So it's okay. We can also wear wide bras? Yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, Namira. You can't get pregnant during your period.
I agree. I disagree, sorry. That you can get pregnant. I agree. I disagree.
Okay, and you disagree.
I disagree.
Okay.
Disagree.
So you disagree.
As in can get pregnant.
Oh, no.
So you
Okay, now I'm confused.
I agree.
You agree with it? So
She agree with this statement.
Okay.
Can't get pregnant.
okay.
Well, I think sometimes the initial first few days of your menstrual cycle is just staining and the lining of the blood, where the eggs are not broken yet. So I think when you have sexual intercourse, there's still possibility of getting pregnant.
Okay. Yeah. Jasmine?
So my understanding is that during your period, that's when the menstrual lining is shed. So the egg is not actually released from the ovary. So even if you have sexual intercourse and sperms are present, there's no egg for the sperm to fertilize. So therefore, it's not possible to get pregnant.
Let's see, what is the answer? It's false.
low, but it's never 100%.
Because I read. So
You are unlikely to face fertility health issues if you are generally healthy. Agree? Disagree.
Disagree.
Disagree, and we have a consensus. Yes, and the answer is disagree. This has nothing to do with your health. It just depends on your fertility issues. Okay, so now that we're all warmed up, let's move to the next part. Basically, all the women joining us here today are a champion of their own cause. So let's hear from them what their health journey has been like. Namira, could we hear from you? How did you find out about your endometriosis diagnosis?
first time when I had my onset of the endometriosis symptoms was at the age of 11 years old. So from that age to finally receiving a proper diagnosis was in total 17 years of suffering in silence. The misdiagnosis and dismissals were nerve-wracking. It led to a breaking point. The frustration mounted and led me to seek medical attention at the Institute of Mental Health. So it was only during this admission to IMH that I was able to rebuild my life. Soon after, I was finally receiving a proper diagnosis of endometriosis stage 4.
And let's hear now from Anjali. So what inspired your love for long distance walking? Because we hear that is like your joy.
Since younger days, I'm an athlete. Once my children all are grown up, I had my me time. So I decided to start doing slowly, progressively, walking, then slowly jogging. Then I start joining marathons. My first marathon was actually 10 km. Then when I find that the 10 km is not so challenging for me, I go further, half marathon.
Well done.
Then after which I find that half marathon is not enough. So I went for full marathon.
Wow. And when was the last full marathon?
Full marathon last year, Standard Chartered.
Wow.
So, and
done.
also I do vertical marathon. So I enjoy all that. I take as a challenge to try it out, and I find that I can do it. So I can feel that I can do it more. So then I start doing a lot of local and overseas marathon as well.
You make me feel like, I want to do more
Yes,
as well.
good.
Now it's Jasmine's turn. Okay, so what challenges did you face when trying to conceive naturally?
I conceived my child through IVF. It was difficult conceiving naturally. When we started, we were 25. No matter what we tried, based on the suggestions, it wasn't happening, and it actually added a lot of stress on our part. And my period came like clockwork, and it's just a monthly reminder of what my body couldn't do. Eventually, I received my diagnosis that I had low egg count. My husband and I decided, we'll pursue the IVF path, and that's when we had to do all the injections. Yeah, but IVF is a numbers game, so there's just this constant reminder of, what if there isn't enough? Yeah. So it's been a really trying journey, but really, thankfully, thank God, thank people around me for supporting me through this journey, for us to get to where we are. Now we have a 17-month-old baby girl.
Lovely. Congratulations. Okay, and Tracy, what motivated you during the Lost to Win program? Do you want to share what the journey was
sure.
like for you?
So it was a postpartum weight gain. I gained about 30 over kg and my weight keep piling up over and over again. And I didn't seem to lose weight despite, breastfeeding, which everyone says you will lose weight after breastfeeding. My weighing scale tipped at close to 100. I was about 98 kg and I was just 152. So I was like, no way, I'm in my early 30s. I couldn't even cross the overhead bridge. I will be panting. So I was like, I can't do this to myself and something needs to be changed. And I'm so thankful that the government have initiatives like the Lose to Win program. In March 2019, I enrolled myself in these neighborhood programs. So took part in this very actively and it was a very fun community.
Wow. So could you tell us what did you do?
I cut down on my food, cut down on sugar, so no sugar drinks, cut down on desserts. I do have my cheat days and I cut down on carbohydrates, especially processed carbohydrates. When I started losing weight, I got the motivation to do more and I started walking.
And how long did it take for you to lose the weight?
This is my 10th year. I took about 8 years, and I'm still consistently working on myself to get the fitness level up. So Dominic, we have all heard from these lovely ladies. How about you?
Okay, so my journey in 2020, I suffered two brain aneurysms. And a week after my brain surgery, I got hemorrhage stroke. Yeah, so there was bleeding in the brain and I was in ICU for a month and I wasn't in a coma or anything like that. Like I would get up, and I would just say stupid things that didn't make sense, but I thought I was making a lot of sense. And then from there, I spent about 6 weeks in hospital and then when I came back, the recovery journey started. The journey was pretty tough. Again, I didn't know what happened to me, so I couldn't understand it because I lost my memory, forgot my husband's name, I called him another name, and I just lost my vocabulary. I forgot a lot of things, like I didn't know what this was called. So my journey was actually pretty tough. I took baby steps as well. And I owe it all actually to my ex-boyfriend who became my fiance and then who is now my husband. So at that time we were not like engaged or anything like that, but he stood by me and he was a really, really great caregiver. He would write stories and then he'll ask me 10 questions on the story. Basically, it was training my brain as well as physical therapy. So he would organize walks. We had to do walking like every day. I was so thankful and so grateful for a lot of support from my friends as well. Yeah, I needed a lot of emotional support and then slowly, I recovered very slowly.
Amazing.
But now, thank you. Thank you to all these beautiful ladies for sharing their truly inspirational journeys with us. Now let's talk more about women's health in Singapore. Okay, so according to a global burden of disease report, women in Singapore have the longest average lifespan in the world. But we spend more years in ill health than men. Despite a life expectancy of 87 years, nearly 12 of those years are spent in poor health. What do you think are some of the various health-related issues commonly experienced by women?
From my own experience, one of the hidden illnesses, I would say endometriosis, because it stems from one of the symptoms which we now know as pelvic pain. Which is deemed as normal most of the time. I also feel cervical cancer is also important for us to talk about it. Going for a regular checkup, going for a pap smear, all these are necessary, but women are what I feel we usually brush our own needs aside.
I really resonate with what Amira just said, that we ladies sometimes put ourselves the least priority, and I think the biggest telltale signs that we can see is slightest changes in our body, whether is it our temperament, our stress, hormonal cycle. These are the little areas where we actually can pick up if it's not regular. And even our heart pumping, it's like sometimes heart palpitation is one of them.
Yes.
That, if you pick up, it's not something common, go and check it out, go and see a doctor. Yeah, so I think we have to listen to our body as much as we want to serve the family and put our family first.
Since you're on the topic of like body checkup, seeing doctors, right? When was the first time that you saw a gynae?
It's when I was pregnant in my late 30s. I have that stigma that I have to open my legs to the doctor, and yeah, so that worried me.
So I asked that because for me, my first visit to the gynae was at 29 years old. And that was because my grandma said, hey, you're taking too long. We've been married for so long, but not having a kid yet. So my grandma kind of dragged me to the gynae who actually delivered me.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but for me, it's like, why? It's just a very stressful situation when actually, if we see it as, in a sense, managing our health, knowing if just taking it as a regular checkup, then it shouldn't be all that stressful. Yeah, it should be
Yeah.
quite a comfortable situation, at least for us to have an idea if everything's going well for our bodies.
What are some common misconceptions surrounding women's health?
For my own experience, that would be excruciating pelvic pain during menstruation is normal. So recognizing that not all pain is normal is
Yeah.
important, and that persistent symptoms should be investigated.
What do we normally do when, we do want to find out if whatever it is that we're going through, is there something wrong with us? We Google. And Google doesn't always provide the answers we need. There can be many misconceptions, and then there's a lot of false information, etc. So the best thing is listen to your health, and then make sure you see a doctor.
Yeah, but sometimes on the other hand, it may not just all be listening to your body. If let's say you're not at that phase in life, so you don't do a body checkup. So like for me, for example, I have low egg count, right? And by right, I was young. So the misconception there is fertility issues only affect older people. So it's not all the time that your body will tell you. Yeah, so getting your checks at a certain age is necessary.
How can women navigate hormonal changes at different stages of life? What do you think?
Personally, I am perimenopausing. So how do I manage these symptoms? It's definitely carving out moments where I can self-reflect, relax, and also finding joy in the small victories. Because all these eventually balance all the emotional and hormonal changes.
Do you watch Korean dramas?
Korean, no.
I do a lot of Korean dramas. I'll see they will show a part where all the elderly ladies will sit together, they will start to fan themselves because they are having menopause. Then I was telling to myself, how come I don't feel it? Because why?
Wow.
I understand that when you are active, doing exercise, you won't really easily feel every day that you're having menopause or stress out. You won't have this kind of things that much actually.
Now that we understand a little more about women's health, let's learn more about how we can look out for one another. So for Namira, what advice would you give women who also suffer from endometriosis?
Your pain is valid, and recognizing and acknowledging that your experiences matter is important. Do know that seeking help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. There is a community that believes in you, who understands you, and is ready to render support. So do know that you are not in this alone.
Thank you. And for Jasmine, what advice would you give to parents embarking on their own IVF journey?
We need to first take care of our body, be very mindful of what we eat well, and more importantly, get sufficient rest. For us, mothers-to-be especially, we need to prime our bodies so that we can receive our bundle of joy in time to come. We also need to read up more about what the IVF journey entails, because it's not a guaranteed thing in a sense. It'll be an absolute emotional roller coaster. So read up so that you're aware of the whole process and you can make informed decisions. You also need to make sure you have your support. Fertility issues can still be a bit of a taboo topic. And if, let's say, you're not comfortable sharing with family and friends, then you minimally need to at least be comfortable and have your support system at least in your spouse. And I think more importantly, for me, for all of us, there is a spiritual aspect to it. Have faith. There is a greater being out there who is in control of everything. So we're all in this together.
Well said. And Wanjali, what advice would you have for those interested in starting long-distance walking?
I said, first of all, must know your body. Listen to what your body says. Like whether you're able to walk long distance or what interests you have. But if they want to start walking, they can start walking like 1 km a day, progressively increase 2, 3. The more they like, they can continue walking for a longer distance.
Okay, and for Tracy, what advice would you give to women starting their own weight loss journey?
Yeah, so don't underestimate yourself. You're stronger than you think you are. Never let anyone or anything stop you from reaching your goal.
I guess for myself, what would I say to those also going through their own recovery journey? Well, I would say take it one step at a time as well. Everything with baby steps. And if you fail the first 3 times, just take a breather and then start again. We all have inner strength, and you know that you want to get better. So you need to do things slowly, but make sure that you progress. You'll find that you're working on recovery journey thoroughly. So what should women do if they're going through a hard medical journey?
I would say that, from my own personal experience, the journey from despair to acceptance involves not just physical healing, but also acknowledging the mental and emotional scars. Find a specialist who listens, and the next thing to do is to continue advocating for your own health. It really does empower a person to take control of their life eventually.
I think for women like for myself, take baby steps, and take priority for yourself, your me times, schedule for yourself, that half an hour, that 1 hour. The government has so many initiatives. If you go into the 365 app, there is Zumba, there is K-pop, there's so many things, and it's within your vicinity, it's within where you live. So, it's reachable, it's walking distance. Only if you are able to have that self-care for yourself, you will have the energy to give back to your family.
For our final segment, we're going to play Yay or Nay. After I read out the statement, have a think if you agree or not. Then I'll say 3, 2, 1. We'll say our answers, either yay or nay. Women are emotionally weaker than men. Yay or nay?
Yay!
Disagree.
Yeah, why would you say it's a nay?
Yes, I also have some journeys which I went through with my husband's health journey. So he was like in the hospital for 3 years, in and out, very regularly. I was working, and after work I will be traveling to the hospital daily, every day, staying strong and caring for my husband. So based on my experience, and I think that women are actually considered as a strong person.
Next question. All women experience menopause the same way. Yeah, nay. Personally, for me, like I mentioned, I'm in the perimenopause stage. But I also know of some friends who have already gone through menopause at my age. I also know of some friends who are still regularly having their periods, like nothing's happened. Like, yeah, definitely everyone's different. Okay, only women can get breast cancer. Is that true?
Nay.
Yay!
Nay. Yeah, so apparently there are men who get it and they're always very embarrassed. So actually I feel for them in the sense that they find it difficult to confide in anyone, even their friends. Drinking cold water is bad for you.
Yay!
Yay! Apparently it shows my age. That's what they say.
Because I don't drink cold water at all.
Yeah, look at you.
Warm.
I'm a naughty girl that drinking cold water and cold food like salad, and I didn't realize how harmful it was for my body until I started trying to conceive, and then I started seeing a TCM physician, and each of them would tell me, you need to stop your cold drinks, but then I don't listen, and to me it's like, I'm still young, right? Like, it's okay, just chill. And by the time I got the final diagnosis, I'm like, okay, I better stop.
We shouldn't rely on medicine to feel better. Yes, agree.
For me, I feel that sometimes it's our body telling us that's lack of something. It could be vitamin deficiency or even water. So for me, if I'm dehydrated, I have frequent headaches. And then I know that I have not drank enough water, not just for one day, but several days. In the past, I would just go for Panadol, but recently I've tried to understand my body.
Eating fat makes you fat. Is that true?
It's an A.
It's an A, correct. Why?
So for us women, we are into diet fads, right? And there are certain diets like eradicating fat, totally eradicating carbs, totally, and all that. I think it's not necessary because we all require these components, these macros to survive. Fat in itself is important because it regulates our hormones.
Diet is not important as long as you exercise.
So diet is 80% and exercise is 20%. So
Yes, well said.
exercise complements the diet, but diet is definitely the major stakeholder to a healthy lifestyle.
Staying healthy is expensive.
I feel that prevention is cheap compared to having to deal with the illness itself. Being the primary caregiver for both my parents, right? I can tell you that the medical bills are skyrocketing. So yes, prevention is actually cheap.
I hope you all enjoyed that little segment. And to end off, I have one last question for our guests. What is one final piece of advice you would give viewers out there?
So your body can do anything. It's your brain that you have to convince.
Stay strong, stay positive. Age is just a number.
For me, I have 3 C's to share. The first one being compassion. So have compassion for yourself in whatever journey it is that you're going through. The second C would be communication. You are not in this alone. Communicate with people around you. And the last C would be community. All right, build up a community of support. There are people around who care for you and journey together with you.
Be kinder to yourself, advocate your own health, and seek help when you needed it. Turn your adversity into a purpose because your story can inspire others, just like all my Heroine sisters here.
How about you, Dom?
Well, I think whatever recovery journey that we have to embark on, any kind of journey can be tough if you bring yourself down. So you shouldn't be tough on yourself in that way, but you should be tough on yourself in terms of recovery, in terms of finding a solution, and stay resilient. Don't keep asking why me. That doesn't solve anything. You just have to focus on the journey of recovery and just keep pushing on. And we've come to the end of this episode. I'm your host, Dominique. And from Namira,
And Charlie?
Tracy.
and we're signing off. Thank you for watching.
If you like this video,
Please comment.
Like, share.
and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.